Heading into 2024 in the Big 12, the preseason media's top 5 and conference title contenders were Arizona, Kansas, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, and Utah. Well, 4 of them missed a bowl game, and the 5th team lost 3 out of 4 in November, and the preseason media's last place team, Arizona State, ended up winning the conference. The other 3 teams that tied with the Sun Devils atop the standings, Iowa State, Colorado, and BYU, were picked by the media 6th, 11th, and 13th respectively, and Kansas, who missed a bowl game, beat all 3 of them in 3 consecutive weeks, being the first team in the history of college football to be unranked and beat 3 ranked teams in consecutive weeks. That's just life in the Big 12, where anybody's guess for a conference champion is as good as anyone else's. In fact, I'm not even going to point out a top 5 this year because the logjam of teams is just so great. So right now I'm leaning on Arizona State to successfully defend their title. They returned Sam Leavitt, Jordan Tyson, and 15 other returning starters. The Sun Devils also returned their entire coaching staff, but even so, only one team in the 30-year history of the Big 12 has repeated as conference champion, and that team, Oklahoma, isn't even in the conference anymore. So if we do get a new champion, and history suggests so, Kansas State undoubtedly has the most year-to-year stability under experienced coach Chris Kleiman, but the Wildcats have to start fast, playing in 2025 season opener in Ireland against Iowa State. Yes, Farmageddon is not in the farms this year. Then they have to play Army, who won 12 games a year ago, and a non-conference road game to Arizona. BYU won 11 games a year ago, more than doubling their count from 2023, but half their games were one-possession games, and they had a winning record in said games. They returned 11 starters, which is fine, but again, Big 12 conference play is going to be a train wreck. Texas Tech holds in the nation's second-best transfer portal class, along with 8 returning starters. I'm starting to like them more and more as the offseason progresses, as they look to reach the Big 12 championship game for the first time in school history, and maybe even win it while they're at it. Iowa State started 7-0 before a frustrating 4-3 finish, but they did make it to the Big 12 championship game, and they had a double-digit win season for the first time in 133 years, and returned over half their starters, including quarterback Rocco Becht, 4 out of 5 across the offensive line, and multiple pieces from a stingy defense. At Baylor, once Sawyer Robertson took over at quarterback, the Bears had one of the nation's hottest finishes, ending the regular season on a 6-game win streak, nearly tripling their win count from 2023. TCU quarterback Josh Hoover ranked 2nd in the Big 12 last year with almost 4,000 yards passing. He returns along with pieces in the secondary as Sonny Dykes looks to return to the national championship game from a couple years ago. You also have Utah and Kansas. Both were preseason favorites in 2024 and both missed a bowl game. Utah returns their entire offensive line and boasts an experienced secondary. For Kansas, I mentioned it previously, but they played spoiler last year, 3 times in fact at the end of the season, and Jalen Daniels is in his 6th year at quarterback as the Jayhawks return much of their defensive front. Kansas went 1-5 in one-possession games, so you'd think that would even out for the Jayhawks this season. And you can't forget about Deion Sanders at Colorado lurking in the background. They finished tied for 1st in the Big 12 in 2024, and despite working with a harder schedule in 2025, they do boast a big senior class for this upcoming season.